If I had to start my financial life from zero again, knowing everything I know today about money, habits, and wealth building, I would follow a very different path than most people do. Not because people are lazy or unintelligent, but because most of us were never taught how money actually works. We grow up learning how to earn money, but almost nobody teaches us how to manage it, protect it, or make it grow. So if I suddenly found myself with no savings, no investments, and no financial safety net, the first thing I would understand is that building wealth is not about making one perfect decision. It is about building a simple system that works over time. Most people try to solve their money problems by chasing higher income, but income alone rarely solves financial stress. There are people earning very little who slowly build stability, and there are people earning six figures who constantly feel broke. The difference between those two lives is not luck, it is the structure of their financial habits. So step one would not be investing, and it would not be trying to get rich quickly. Step one would be stopping the invisible money leaks that quietly drain income every month. When people struggle financially, they usually think the problem is that they do not earn enough. But when you actually examine most budgets, you often find something else happening. Small daily decisions slowly consume large portions of income without being noticed. Subscriptions that are rarely used, convenient spending, constant takeout food, impulse purchases, small upgrades that feel harmless in the moment. None of these decisions seem dangerous individually, but together they form a system where money constantly flows out faster than it should. If I were starting from zero, the first thing I would do is create awareness. I would track every dollar for a short period of time, not to punish myself, but simply to understand where money is going. Because you cannot fix what you cannot see. Once those leaks become visible, the next step becomes much easier. Step two would be creating a small financial safety net. Before thinking about investing, before trying to grow money, the most important thing to build is stability. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down, jobs change, unexpected bills appear. When people do not have a financial cushion, every small problem becomes a crisis. That is why so many people fall into cycles of debt. One emergency forces them to use credit, and then interest begins working against them. So the second step I would focus on is building a basic emergency fund. Not something huge at first, just enough to handle small disruptions without panic. Even a few months of basic expenses can completely change how financial stress feels. When you know that one unexpected bill will not destroy your finances, your decision-making becomes calmer and smarter. The third step I would take if starting from zero would be escaping high-interest debt as quickly as possible. Debt itself is not always evil, but high-interest consumer debt is extremely powerful in the wrong direction. Interest is one of the most powerful forces in finance, but when it works against you, it becomes a heavy anchor that slows down progress. Credit cards and high-interest loans can quietly grow faster than people expect. So, eliminating those obligations early creates a much stronger financial foundation for everything that comes later. Once spending is controlled, a safety cushion exists and high-interest debt is reduced or eliminated. The next step would finally be something most people think about first: investing. But investing would not be about chasing quick profits or trying to beat the market. The goal would simply be to let time do most of the work. The most powerful advantage an investor can have is patience. When money is invested consistently over long periods, compounding begins to work quietly in the background. At first, the growth looks slow, almost invisible, but over many years the curve becomes dramatic. That is why people who start investing early often build surprising levels of wealth even with modest incomes. The key is consistency, not perfection. Even small amounts invested regularly can grow significantly over time if they are allowed to compound without constant interruption. However, there is one more step that many people overlook, and this step might actually be the most important of all. If I had to start from zero again, I would protect myself from lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is the tendency for spending to rise every time income increases. When someone receives a raise, their life slowly becomes more expensive. The car gets upgraded, the home gets larger, vacations become more frequent, and daily spending becomes more comfortable. None of these upgrades feel wrong individually, But if they happen every time income increases, wealth never has the chance to grow. The people who eventually become financially secure usually follow a different pattern. When their income grows, their lifestyle grows slowly, but their investments grow much faster. Instead of spending every new dollar, they allow part of that money to build their future. Over time, this creates an enormous difference between two people earning similar salaries. One person constantly upgrades their life and stays financially dependent on their paycheck, while the other quietly builds assets that begin working on their behalf. Eventually, those assets produce something incredibly valuable: freedom. Real wealth is not about luxury cars or impressive purchases. Real wealth is the ability to make choices without constant financial fear. It means having the flexibility to change jobs, start a project, take time off, or handle emergencies without panic. That freedom rarely appears suddenly. It is built slowly through years of consistent decisions. So if I truly had to start from zero again, I would not chase shortcuts or complicated strategies. I would build a simple system, control spending leaks, create a safety cushion, eliminate high-interest debt, invest consistently, and protect myself from lifestyle inflation as income grows. None of these steps are dramatic on their own, but together they form a financial structure that becomes stronger every year. And the surprising truth is that the people who follow this system often look very ordinary from the outside. Their lifestyle might not appear extraordinary, especially in the beginning. But over time, their patience creates something powerful. Because while many people focus on looking rich today, they are quietly building the kind of wealth that gives them control over tomorrow.